Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
It is 0 dark 30 ZDT time to you and me. And I tell you what, we've got a radical world, folks, or is it just SHTF? What is happening out there, folks? We're going to see some of the most radical, crazy, bizarre, off the hook actions. But it's not all going to happen in a day. No, not in a day, not in a week, not even in a year, but it's going to be happening over the course of the next decade. There are going to be some wacky radical changes. Now, American Revolution, that was pretty darn radical. Yes, it was. The French Revolution, also very radical, shortly thereafter the Americans, right? Now, the difference between the two is they both didn't create a free America. No. Or a free America type nation. Completely different concepts emerged from revolution because of the radicalism and the SHTF circumstances that developed in each nation separately. Now we have a globalist system headed up by a bunch of people trying to control the globe, resources, people, psychology, information, communications. They're trying to control it all. And guess what? They're losing that grip, folks. Globalism is dying. It doesn't mean their plans are dying, and it doesn't mean the consequences are going to just go away. Au contraire, the consequences are real and they're going to happen. The same as if, well, let's just say you kicked over a barrel of fuel in someone's yard. Well, we all know who kicked over the fuel, so they get arrested. But now you have a flammable mixture all over the place, and it's going to take just one spark to set it all off. Well, the globalists are the one who kicked over the can. And we know it, and they've been caught. But that doesn't mean there isn't a mess of highly combustible fuel all over the planet, politically. Joe Biden, folks, thinks he's going to come out and debate. One mainstream media commentator said, well, if Joe Biden can make it through the night without collapsing, falling over, dying, then he's had a good night. And I thought, what kind of prognostication is that? All he has to literally do is be breathing oxygen when he's done, and that's good enough, right? That's a win for him. Well, that's what one person was kind of saying and thinking. Meanwhile, the rest of the Democrat Party is waiting for him to vacate the chair, to leave, to quit, to resign, to keel over. And I hate people when they don't have proper brake lights. Okay, very good. And off we go. 0 dark 30, you got to keep your eyes open. Keep them peeled. Now, of course, everyone knows I have no real affection for Light in the Loafers, Lindsey Graham. No, not a bit. But Lindsey Graham, right? Of course, I've never spent money killing people as much as I enjoyed spending Russian money to kill them. Anyways, that guy, he is saying that, well, Biden, he can get in trouble, right? He can be held liable for Lachlan Riley's death. She's one of the young girls that was murdered by the illegals. Well, if Biden and Mayorkas and anyone else can be held liable for that, well, they can be held liable for all of the people who died. But I don't know what law school he decided to attend over the weekend to come up with that thing. I don't buy that for a second. He's got a couple of outs on that. Presidential immunity, whether it's real or not, he'll throw that card out there. And then, of course, the media will cover for him. And then, of course, he can just die. That'll keep him out of trouble. Right? Joe Biden, easily the worst president, the most corrupt president, because he is corruptible. Yeah, it's just it's amazing, folks. Like I said, this week is going to be crazy, but the is it just radical concepts and ideas, or is shit hit the fan and it's just going to keep getting worse because they've kicked the can over, folks. Trash, flammables, everything, it's out in the open. Out in the open. It's not just in one country, it's the whole planet. What are you doing to protect yourself? What is your insurance policy? I mean, if you think government is great and they're going to fix everything, hey, no need to have insurance. They'll take care of it. You got this. But if you think the government is more than likely going to screw everything up even further, which is what the track record would suggest, why would you not have your own personal insurance policy? I mean, to me, it almost seems like a foregone conclusion. That's the only way to go, is to have your own insurance policy, because they are screwing things up and they're doing it intentionally. Intentionally. Folks, as the Democrat Party distances itself from Biden, or tries to, they also realize they're tied to it, right? They believe in certain aspects of it, like the radical environmentalists. Certainly, they're not Republicans, not a chance, right? Certainly not. But they're out there. They're out there as they're on the Democrat side. Are these just all evil villains who would take over the planet if they get a chance? But until they get a chance, they're going to hang out together and use each other's strengths and benefits and screw things up, but then ultimately attack each other? Well, quite possible. The environmentalists, folks, are just complete morons that think by distracting and disturbing and inconveniencing people and embarrassing themselves publicly and destroying property, that all of a sudden the world is going to realize how smart they are and how right they are. And because they're dedicated to their ignorance and stupidity, that maybe we should be too. They even went out, demonstrators, and went to the a pro golf tournament and tried disrupting that. Actually, they did disrupt it. They had to be arrested and hauled off because, environmentalism. Well, I guess, taking care of pretty grass and mowing it and all those fertilizers they put on it must be really bad. The environmentalists are all over the place, by the way, folks. And they're closely linked to the lie that, well, we have extreme climate change. We've always had extreme climates and extreme weather. My own family has passed down records from 100 years ago. That's right, 100 plus years ago, of my family and how they had to survive a blizzard, an ordeal, being snowed in on the road in a car. This is before they had heaters and before they had all the modern conveniences that we have, including telephones to call for help. Had to walk through snow, feet of it, down a highway up by Mount Shasta, 100 years ago, to get out of the snow, to save themselves. Just, hey, climates are crazy. They didn't expect it. They didn't know it. Yeah, they didn't have satellites back then, but they had other ways to know weather was coming. They didn't know how bad it would be, but it was an extreme storm. And my great-great-great-grandfather and his cattle company, they had extreme weather. They had cattle ranchers all over Northern California, up in the Wairika area where the ranch was. And like all of the cattle ranchers, except for 3, went out of business because they got froze out, literally froze out. Well, fortunately, my particular line family made it. And yeah, extreme weather, climate change. Oh, well, shit, that was 150 years ago. 125, 150 years ago. Well, hey, is it just radical weather or is it radical politics? Is it the way things are, or is it shit hitting the fan? Well, it's a little bit of everything, folks. A little bit of everything. But mostly, the bad stuff is caused as if nature doesn't throw us enough difficulties. But the people in charge, right, from the globalists to the political puppets, they're the ones making it all the more difficult. So yes, you should be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. God bless America. Semper Fi.